What's up, everybody? It's Jimmy Grapponi here with the CLT Life show. I'm with my co-host, Wals.
Hey.
So what's going on, Wals? How's it going?
Doing all right, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're sitting here doing a Zoom. We're actually in the same room. I love this. So we're going to talk about Panthers football, which is not the best start. Yeah, not good. That's not sugarcoated. We're going to talk some Panthers football. President's Cup is coming to Charlotte this coming weekend. So we got some football to talk about. We got some things to talk about as far as events and things to do in the Charlotte area. And being a real estate agent, I'm going to give some real estate advice on here as well. And Walls, we can talk about your music. And you went to a show this weekend as well. So tell me a little bit about what you did this weekend.
Yeah. So last night I had the opportunity, the privilege to check out some living legends. The Wu-Tang Clan,
Yep.
Minus Method Man, and they were in Charlotte at PNC Pavilion along with Nas. And so, yeah, guys we grew up listening to, legends in the hip hop game. It's really cool to see them still on stage performing. Although I gotta say, some of the Wu-Tang Clan members look really old.
So they've been around since at least the 90s, right?
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
And I always knew the Jizza. He's a little bit. He was the original, one of the founding members, but he's a little bit older. He and the RZA and Old Dirty Bastard were cousins, apparently, and so. Okay. Jizz is a little bit older, so he's 56 now.
Okay.
So you're almost talking about a 60-year-old man,
right?
Performing hip hop, which is fine. Hip hop
shows it's been around. Yeah, it's been around for a while.
It has, but
it's like rock. You have rock and roll musicians that are like 70, 80 years old now.
Well, Elton John was in town last night too, apparently.
Yeah.
And so that but yeah, when you're standing up and you're trying to be energetic and so forth and so on, I don't know. It's just you could just tell the guys are getting a little bit older.
Right.
So, but it's still good to see them. The songs are still fun. Anthems, songs that we grew up, living our lives to. They were soundtracks of our lives in the 90s.
Yep.
And even into the 2000s. And the same with Nas. He always has looked young. So he still looks kind of young. And
anybody wearing like knee braces or anything like that up there on stage?
Not unless they had them under their baggy sweats and stuff,
right?
You couldn't. It's hard to tell. No canes yet. Just you can just tell they don't move around as much as they probably did at some point.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a good show. It was a good time. It was good to go out, hang out with a couple friends, and just get out. I haven't been to the PNC in years, probably. Nearly 10, maybe eight years or so.
So for anybody outside of Charlotte, PNC Pavilion that's like our big amphitheater that we have here in Charlotte. It's in North Charlotte around the university area, which is near UNC Charlotte. So that's one of our major venues for music we have there. And then you mentioned Elton John being in town. I believe he was playing at Spectrum Arena.
No, he's at Bank of America. I thought he was.
Oh, was he at Bank of America? Really?
Bank of America. Yeah.
So the Panthers were out of town. They were up in New York, and Elton John was here.
Right. That's one of Tepper's initiatives was to get more live music.
Right. Yeah.
At Bank of America. And so I've heard all kinds, some country shows.
Yeah. I know Garth Brooks was here earlier in the year.
Yeah. And then Elton John. I've heard of a few shows. And then with the soccer, he wanted to get more use out of the stadium. And he's done that.
Yeah. Well, do you want to transition into talking about Panther? Little Panther football?
Sure.
Sure. So the Panthers this past weekend. Let's talk about some positive things that happened in the football world this week before we get into the Panthers.
Right.
So App State up in Boone, North Carolina, is having a dream season right now. They're really stepping up and showing that maybe they belong on a bigger stage than they're in. The Sun Belt Conference that they're in, that whole conference is really stepping up. So I feel like the Sun Belt Conference might be stronger than the ACC, even with some of these teams.
Somebody called them the Fun Belt. I heard them described as the Fun Belt. They're definitely fun and exciting. And part of that is, they're not traditional powers. So maybe they're underdogs in some of these games. And so, when they pull out big upset wins, or even when they just play well and keep it close, it's exciting because you're not necessarily expecting them to win these games. So they have that advantage over the ACC right now. The ACC, even though it's never been a football conference, Clemson has been a national champion recently. Florida State won when Jameis Winston was there.
True.
And they've been known to have good teams.
And NC State is ranked right now. Wake Forest is ranked.
UNC, Carolina, they're undefeated, and say what you will about them, they haven't lost yet, and
they're undefeated in the Sun Belt Conference. Really,
really,
they played Georgia Southern, I believe. They're in the Sun Belt, and then obviously they beat App State.
So yeah, I don't know. The ACC is sort of in a no-win, position unless they just have a team that has a really strong season. It's tough for the ACC because they'll always be looked at as a basketball conference, and it's been hard recruiting against some of the SEC teams.
Right. Yeah, we are in their backyard, especially the schools that are in the South. And Clemson is essentially like an SEC school, really.
Really.
So another thing too about the Sun Belt Conference and some of these teams, I was watching the Virginia ODU game, and ODU's in the Sun Belt as well. And that was a tough game. Virginia needed, who was not an ACC powerhouse by any means, they needed a last-minute field goal to win. And ODU had beaten Virginia Tech a couple of weeks earlier.
Right.
And one of the statements the commentator made was that they're an older team. A lot of these teams, they're older. They've got players who are getting recruited there. They're not leaving early to go play in the NFL, so they've got experience. And you got guys who were recruited by these Power 5 schools, like Chase Bryce is the quarterback at App State. He was at Clemson and Duke before he was here. And you get a lot of guys that maybe went to a school and didn't make it as a starter there, and they decided to transfer, so they don't have to sit out any time, and they can just go right into one of these other schools.
Yeah, that's advantageous for the players and for the smaller schools too, because guys realizing they can go to non-traditional, powerhouse schools and still get opportunities to play professionally and just get more playing time. And
every game's on TV.
You got
video and everything.
So there's more advantages to going smaller schools now as opposed to 20 years ago, when if you really wanted to make it to the league, or you really wanted to be on TV or whatnot, you felt like you had to go to certain schools or certain conferences. So that's changed.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of App State, they beat Texas A&M the weekend before, number 6 team in the country, on the road. After having that 63-61 shootout against Carolina. That was a classic game.
Yeah.
And then they hosted Troy, and they also hosted College Game Day, which for a lot of people that puts App State on the map.
Right.
Sports, for universities, sports are huge, especially for helping them get more exposure. And this just kind of validates App State as a football school.
Right, because Game Day hadn't been in North Carolina, I don't think.
Had they not?
I think that was the conversation I was having.
I knew they hadn't been to App State. They had not been in the state of North Carolina.
I don't think they've been in the state of North Carolina.
Well, where else would they have gone, really? Wake, UNC, Duke, and
Wake's had some decent seasons and games, but yeah, really. No, they hadn't. As far as I'm
East Carolina, ECU, hadn't been any of those places. No. So, they had, after this huge win they had last week, and then they're hosting Troy, who's also a conference game. Troy from down in Montgomery, Alabama, and Troy came up here and was beating them.
Yeah, gave them all they wanted.
And then it came down to the last play, and it was a number 1 play on SportsCenter yesterday. I think it was 53 yards, I think, something like that. 53-yard Hail Mary.
Right. That was tipped.
Yeah.
Caught by an App State receiver.
Yep. Horn.
He went around the horn.
Yeah.
And sort of did a loop-de-loop to the end zone after catching the ball and running away from a couple of Troy defenders.
Yeah. There was a nice block on there too. One of the other receivers had a nice block.
Right.
And he's able to go around and get in the end zone. So
it's a miraculous play.
Yeah. If you have a chance if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube, look it up. They're calling it the Mountain Miracle. The call, I love listening on SportsCenter, hearing the call of the announcers. They're just so patient, just nonchalant, like calling a regular call
Right.
until the tip. And then all of a sudden the microphone was like, you could, you could hear all the distortion on the mic because they were yelling and screaming. They were so excited up there in the booth. So I went to a football game this weekend, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, I went to a high school game. So I went and saw Providence at Catholic. So we've got some friends whose son plays for Providence High School and is setting all kinds of local and state records. So that was fun to go see. The game itself was a little lopsided. Was really impressed with the facilities they had at Catholic. Yeah,
nice.
They got a parking deck there right behind the football field, and it's a beautiful place. And they were the 4th ranked team. So our friend's son, Luke Bailey, who is just out there just dominating, just really balling this year. He had 273 yards and a couple touchdowns, and that was his least productive game of the last 3 games.
That's crazy. Those are crazy.
Which is nuts. Video game numbers, yeah. So he's putting good stuff on film. So any college recruits out there, just a little plug for Luke right there. But more sports coming up. This is a huge sports weekend for the Queen City with the President's Cup. And that does not come around very often.
Right. Yeah. I don't know that we've hosted a President's Cup.
And this is golf for those who don't know.
President's Cup golf. We hosted the PGA Championship 5 years ago.
I think it's coming back, right? In 25, maybe.
Justin Thomas won. Yeah, it's supposed to come back soon. And so, this is huge for the Charlotte area because we're playing an international team, which is basically all the players from around the world, excluding the Europeans, because obviously we play the Europeans in the Ryder Cup. So it's an international event. You got guys like Hideki Matsuyama and Adam Scott, who are huge draws, internationally in their native countries. Yeah.
Well, Hideki was the first Japanese player to ever win a major.
Right.
He's a national hero there.
Right. And he won the Masters 2 Masters ago. The 21. And so, and Adam Scott, he's been around 20 years now. He's sort of almost like a contemporary of Tiger Woods. He's won a couple Masters himself. And so, he's a really popular guy, likable guy. And then you got some young guys. Obviously, the live drama is sort of taken away from the international team, who is captained by Trevor Immelman, I believe. And so he's down some players because he lost Cameron Smith right after the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Who just had his biggest payday.
Right.
He just earned $6 million in his second tournament there.
In one event.
Yeah, one event. I saw that he won his 4 wins this year. He won the first one, he won like 1.8 million, I think, in Kapalua. And then he won the British Open. That was like 2.5 million. Then the Players Championship was like 3 point something. And then this one was 6 million. No, 4 million.
Yeah,
6 million Australian. It was 4 million
US dollars.
11 million in those 4 wins.
Yeah, I mean, and he deserves to make a lot of money. He was the number 2 ranked player in the world.
Yeah.
So he deserves to make money. And I'm not here to get into the live argument, but just to say that for the President's Cup, the international team has lost some really good players because, there were some solid guys who were locks to be on the team who decided to go and join live.
Well, on the American team, I mean, guys like, I don't know, do you think with Bryson DeChambeau, would he have been on the team? Do you think he might not have been high enough in the rankings?
Yeah, who knows? Because he really didn't have a season, like those guys sort of left earlier in the season. I guess even like Brooks Koepka, I think he went after the US Open.
But he's been hurt. He's a shell of his former self, really.
Sort of, but it only takes, it's rough because they have had injuries, but it only takes a good off season of rest and good health to get back. And for those guys there,
and Dustin Johnson, he would have been. He would have been. Yeah, he was a lot. He would have been one of our top players.
He's been one of our top players. Patrick Reed, he may not have made it, but Patrick Reed, DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka have all been, stalwarts of past teams. And so you can't discredit what they've done on some of these in some of these team events. So yeah, it hurts to not have those guys, but the Americans are deep.
Yeah.
There's guys waiting to take their spots, and so I don't think it hurts the Americans as much as the international team.
Yeah, this could be a lot of fun. I've seen where they've basically built a stadium around the first hole, and they reconfigured the hole.
They
rerouted some of the holes. So the Green Mile is one of the famous one of the top finishing stretches and on the PGA Tour.
Right.
And because this is match play, they want to ensure that everybody played on those holes.
Popular holes.
Yeah. So match play, if someone's up 4 holes of 3 to go, and you don't even play on there.
You
So
don't even get
so
to 15, 16.
Yeah, 16, 17, 18 are now different hole numbers. I'm not sure what hole locations they are, but
well, I think what I read was after the 8th hole, instead of going to the traditional 9th hole, they're going to skip over to 12, I believe, and then start and then play 12 is 9, and then start 13 will start the back 9, like 10, and then 14 will be 11.
So 1 is still 1.
1 is still 1. So
that's where they built the stadium, right?
Yeah. So 1 through 8.
Yeah.
It'll be normal. But the old 9th hole, the normal 9th hole, they're going to put that at the end. That'll sort of be where the guys end, and they'll skip over to number 12 to start for number 9 in the President's Cup.
Should see some interesting outfits out there as well.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. You mean from fans?
From fans, yeah, like patriotic outfits, or there's always people out there, and there will be people here from all over the world. Like this is a lot of people probably don't realize what a big deal this is, but this is a truly international event that's coming here to Charlotte for the weekend. So
it'll be fun.
It'll be a lot of fun. All right. Well, I'm gonna do a little segue real quick and give this week's real estate tip. So again, Jimmy Grapponi here with J Park Carolina Living Real Estate. I'm a licensed realtor in North and South Carolina. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a home anywhere in the Charlotte area, give me a call. And I'd love to have a conversation with you and see how we can help you out. So today I'm going to talk about tips for making your best offer as a buyer. And this comes straight out of one of my buyer guides. So I've got a buyer guide and a seller guide as well. We're also filming this. I'm trying to show it, but my background's not allowed to show up on here. So, but if you want some information about buying or selling a home, reach out to me. I'd be happy to send you one of these guides. So tips for making your best real estate offer. The first step is to know your budget. So whenever I meet with buyers and we start talking about the home buying process, the first thing that we always talk about is, one of the first things we talk about is, have you been approved for a loan? Do you know what your budget is? Do you know how much house you can afford? So that's really going to set the stage for the actual properties that you're able to see, because you don't want to go looking at homes that aren't even going to be on your radar, that aren't going to be in that affordable range. Step number 2, lean on a real estate professional. So, conditions in the housing market are starting to change, and if you don't have somebody who can really walk you through that process, who especially having experience in the pre-pandemic real estate market, which is a type of market that we're kind of returning to right now, can be very, very beneficial when it comes to negotiating on homes. So actually, Wally actually ended up in a multiple offer situation with a buyer earlier this week, and we ended up winning it. It was interesting because we went and looked at several homes. We ended up finding the one that my clients were most interested in. We submitted the offer, but we were competing. So, and it was interesting, how the strategy went, and being able to help secure that home for my clients. So,
did you use your strategy from last week?
Which strategy? What strategy I was telling you from last week?
The number that you say, hey, if
we did actually, yeah. So the number that knowing that the walkaway number, yeah. I called it the tip your cap number is the way I is the way I explained it when I was talking to my clients. It was all right. So we know there's another offer that's out there. So we know what you can afford, what you're approved for, but also what you're comfortable with. And that number you know, when I was counseling them was, you know, you really love this house. Let's make the number. I don't want to coach you to give away money, right?
Right.
But make the offer that if someone else gets it, you got to tip your cap to them and say, you know what, congratulations. I was not willing to pay that amount, so congratulations, and move forward. But we were very fortunate to be able to get that home under contract. So yeah, so we're getting the ball rolling today. We're recording this on Monday, and we're getting the ball rolling. We're starting to get inspections scheduled. We're going to get that appraisal ordered and everything else, so we can get everything done early on. So I'm the type, I don't like to wait until later on in the transaction to do anything. I like to get as much done up front. And if we can just sit back and wait 2 or 3 weeks at the end, because the buyer still has plenty to do. They got a lot of packing to do. The seller's got to pack up and move out. So if we can get that stuff done. So that was my third point, was to make a strong but fair offer, which is what we ended up doing, and ended up winning the house. Then also you got to be a flexible negotiator. So sometimes it's not even just all about the price. You know, sometimes there's other factors that come in as well. You know, it might be the closing date. It might be the due diligence time frame. It might be, you know, it might be a warranty here or there, or some kind of concession that is actually going to end up helping you win the deal. So, those are my tips today. So it was your tips as a buyer for being able to make your best offer. 4 tips. Number 1 was know your budget. So being pre-approved. If you're getting a loan, being pre-approved is really important. Number 2, lean on a real estate professional. That's what I'm here for. Number 3, make a strong but fair offer, and just be aware of what the market conditions are, because that's going to influence what your offer is. And then be a flexible negotiator. So yeah, you got any questions about that? Is that
no, it all sounds pretty straightforward to me. And next time I'm in the market, I'll revisit some of these points with you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, well, hey, let's talk a little bit more about just Charlotte, some things to do. We got a few minutes left here. You're telling me you got into some apple picking this past weekend as well.
We never talked about the Panthers.
Did we not talk about the Panthers? Wow. The Panthers were let's get back to the Panthers then. All right. Carolina Panthers this week. So the Carolina Panthers went up to New York. They played the New York Giants. It was a game that you and I both thought that the offense was going to come out and have a big game, and they did not. They did not. This game, it just got off to a rough start. You had Chuba Hubbard fumbling the opening kickoff. Right. Defense held him to a field goal. Then on the first drive, Robbie Anderson fumbled after a catch. Held him to a field goal again. So 6-0 there. And then what was it? 6? I think we got 2 field goals in the second quarter, and then it was 6-6 at the half. We ended up taking the lead. We had a great drive to open the third quarter. And then that was all the offense that we had.
DJ Moore drive.
DJ Moore. Yeah, he had a great play.
A couple of them.
Couple great plays.
And then so we went up 13-6. And then
they came right back.
We couldn't get a stop. You felt, and I remember feeling like, okay, you know, we're able to score. If we can just get a stop, maybe we can get some separation. And Daniel Jones drove him right down the field, through the touchdown pass to the tight end where he just got it over the goal line. Tied the game.
Chin was trying to get him, I think.
Chin was trying to knock him out a little earlier. But so then we're tied up at 13. And then Graham Gano hits a 51-yarder. I think we were unable to move the ball really. We couldn't do much. Their blitzes were getting to Mayfield. So, you know, that was a concern. And we just couldn't put anything together consistently. Although McCaffrey did have one of his longer runs.
He broke off a 49-yarder. He did get caught from behind, which.
Right. But in fairness to him, he was sort of dodging people as he was, you know, trying to break away. He was kind of.
It
wasn't a straight sprint. It was a good run. It was a good run. He just wasn't home free.
And he had over 100 yards for the first time in 2 years. He had 102 yards rushing.
And half of it was on that one play. He had 15 rushes for 102 yards. So, you know, he had about 128 yards total, I think, because he had 26
receiving.
But in the end, we were beat by Gano on a 56-yard field goal, which is kind of, maybe poetic justice for him.
Right. Beating his former team.
His
hometown, I believe.
Yeah. And we actually
Daniel Jones from Charlotte as well.
From Charlotte. Yeah, there's a lot of storylines. We both don't like Dave Gettleman. Both teams kind of over Dave Gettleman, and we did a good job on Saquon Barkley, I'd say.
I think so, yeah.
21 carries, 72 yards. But we just couldn't make the plays. And Matt Rule said this, I got to find a way to get these guys to make that one play to win a game. And we just couldn't make enough winning plays to finish the game and get a win.
So you bring up Matt Rule, and you and I were texting right after the game yesterday. Right. I said he was on a short leash. You agreed? Very short leash. And I didn't realize, so Panthers are 0-2 right now, but I didn't even realize it until I was reading some articles. 0-9 in our last 9 games.
Right.
And Matt Rule's record is 1-24 when giving up 17 or more points.
And there's no way.
Yeah, you can't expect the NFL defense to hold, like a good NFL defense holds teams like 20 points a game. Yeah,
basically.
So if you
great D's hold them to under 17 or 15.
Yeah, but I mean, you cannot expect. I mean, you need more offense. So I mean, what's the answer? Is it the players? Is it
a new coach? No,
I know. I think it is. I'll say it. I think it's. I mean, this is his 4th year.
Yeah,
and third year. This is Rule's 3rd year, I believe.
We had the Bridgewater year, the Darnold year,
and now the Mayfield year. So this is his 3rd year. In college, it was always his 3rd year that everything took off.
Yeah,
he did say in the post game that when he interviewed for the job that Tepper told him he had 7 years and he doesn't want to take that long. But I mean, it's a win now league.
We know
Tepper just had dinner with Sean Payton last week.
Right.
Former New Orleans coach.
NFL stands for not for long.
Yep.
As far as, Matt Rule is concerned right now. I don't know. I always was giving Matt Rule the benefit of the doubt. Some of the decisions he's made and so forth, you question any coach. We question Ron Rivera and his decision making at times, but they won football games. Rivera and really this whole team was like just integrated with the community. Right.
You felt Ron Rivera, Thomas Davis, like you don't have those Joe Moss commercials anymore. Like
who? Maybe Shaq Thompson. People kind of like Shaq and know him well enough. He's a holdover from Rivera.
He's been around, but I don't even feel like he's necessarily I don't know if he has the personality or maybe it hasn't been showcased. Like he doesn't seem like the town of Charlotte has embraced anybody really on this current team.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Like the teams of Kuechly and Davis and
Cam had tons of events. I covered at the TV station. I covered tons of events. I covered his kickball game. I covered his Thanksgiving holiday event for kids where he's feeding everybody. And Cam was just always around. Thomas Davis had a comedy show that we went to check out. Of course, everybody loved Luke Kuechly. Greg Olson. He was doing
Hardest Yard
and yoga at Old Mac Brewery.
Well, he and Kuechly are still here coaching.
Yeah,
they're coaching Little League football, and then Olson's playing in #1 announcer on Fox.
Right. So, those are big shoes to fill as far as personalities and football field talent as well. Those are big shoes to fill. So I don't know that I have the expectation that, we can necessarily fill those shoes, but yeah, something's missing. It probably starts at the top. At this point, you'd have to say they haven't forced any turnovers this season. You've played Jacoby Brissett and Daniel Jones, and you couldn't find a way to rattle them, to turn them over. So yeah, there are a lot of problems, but more than anything, I think culturally is just not quite working right now. And I don't know if Tepper wants to give Rule time to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. So, well, we got the Panthers talk in. We're actually coming up on time right now. So hope everybody enjoyed the show this week. So what, you got any plans for this coming up weekend?
Yeah, well, President's Cup,
Yeah.
maybe Thursday and Friday, and then heading out of town for a memorial service down in Fripp Island, coast of South Carolina. So we'll be doing a little traveling Saturday and coming back on Sunday. A quick turnaround,
Yeah.
but we'll go down for that, to see some family, some of my wife's family, and then that's it. Watch the Panthers and see if they still have the same head coach and if they can pull out a win.
I think we will have the same head coach. We are going up against the New Orleans Saints here. It's been almost a calendar year, or more than a calendar year, I believe now, since we have won a game here in Charlotte. So it was week 2 of last season.
Tough.
Panthers' last home win. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for listening in on the CLT Life with Jimmy G and Wals. We're here broadcasting on WDRB radio, on iHeartRadio, and other places where you can find streaming radio on Friday mornings at 7:30 a.m. So be sure to listen in.
Check us out.
Check us out. Listen in on your Alexa device or on your phone or whatever streaming device you have. And we'll see you back here next week.
All right.
All right.
Yes, sir.